Hello everybody, thanks for tuning in. Had some people like last year and the year before on some of the Bolens forums. I'm on there on Facebook. Had some interest in this, in seeing this Mott Mower I have here for fits the large frame Bolens tractors. Got it here on my HT23. These Motts I guess are kind of rare. The Haben flail mowers are a little more common, but the Motts are a lot harder to come by, I guess. The thing I kind of like about them is they never fully put the full weight of the mower on the tractor. Like the Haben mowers, they hook on similar to the snow plow or the snowblower would. When you lift it up, you put the full weight on the front, which is kind of hard on that front cast iron bolster, which I guess is common for cracking on these. Because this one, it doesn't have the lift arms, eh? To go back, or from like on a snow plow would come straight down here, and you have the lift arm that goes back all the way up to your tab there at the back, and that pushes it, and lifts your implement up. These, the Mott Mower does not. It just hangs off the front here. Or just hangs on the front, so you'll get a bit of weight on it, but not that much. How it's lifted and lowered is off that hydraulic cylinder, which pushes on the wheels. Pushes the wheels down lower to lift it up. Normally when you're actually mowing, you kind of got to have it set down just enough so that the drum here at the back, this big roller, is just barely kind of touching the ground. If you put too much weight on it, well, you can't steer. You just turn the steering wheels and it goes straight. And then the only problem with that sometimes is it does steer a little hard when you got all the weight. Where since the caster's never lift clear, sometimes it does turn a little harder to maneuver around. But at the same time, it's good for when you don't have power steering like me. You kind of don't want all that weight on your front tires. The mower's a little rough shape still. I mean, I've done some work to it to put it back in operation, but one of the next things I need to do is probably get some new front wheels here, new casters. These are getting a little rough, and this brace here, this mount for the front wheel needs to be straightened out. This is pretty bent. And the hydraulic cylinder is getting bad in it. Leaks a little bit in the shaft, so I'll pit it. I would really kind of like to actually put what do you call it, like a dual action cylinder. Use both hydraulic ports, because I find sometimes it doesn't drop real well. You try to, because it's just the gravity pushing it down. It just sometimes doesn't want to go down very well, especially when you have no weight. When you're trying to get it mounted onto the tractor, you kind of want to. Sometimes you want to pivot it up and down to get the mounts at the back lined up better. And that's pretty nice if you had the dual ports, and you could lift and lower it a lot better. Especially when there's no weight on it, you're trying to lower it down more, get it down more. It doesn't want to go down the rest of the way. I put a few new blades on it since I've got it. Not too many. I think that's probably one of my newer ones there, probably. Some of the older ones. I had a lot of problems. I lost a few just because and I should go through and replace all these cotter pins. Because that was part of my problem is that the cotter pins rusted away and fell out, which let all the blades fall off. So I lost a few. You'll notice when you're starting to miss a bunch, you'll start noticing they'll start shaking, vibrating worse. And even still, with all of them on here, I find I gotta run the tractor about 3/4 throttle. If I get it any faster, it just kind of gets into a real bad vibration. But you slow it down just that little bit, it's okay. Or when you get mowing a little bit under load, you can ease the throttle up. But once you get out of load, you gotta bring it back down just that little bit to keep the RPM of the drum there a little lower. I'm gonna go around my tractor here a little bit too. She's had some hard days, but I keep her fixed up, keep her going at least. Somebody's repainted the hood before and bought new decals, but put the decals on backwards. They were slanted here at the front. That slant's supposed to match the slant at the back of the hood. And my seat is, well, barely a seat anymore. The backrest is barely even setting on there. See the bottom's all rusted out bad. But I mean, technically it works. It's a little kind of hard coming up hills because you don't have a backrest anymore, because there's no support the bed anymore. You kind of gotta, it's coming up hills, you kind of gotta hold on the steering wheel to keep yourself held on the tractor. It's not great, but it's there. It's better than sitting on nothing, I guess. Barely. Until I fall off someday. I do have the belt cover for it here. I don't have it on. I think I lost the bolts when I took it off. They're just some 3/8 fine thread standard bolts, so I'll put it back on here sometime. All the bearings in it are starting to go bad too. You can hear it when it's running. And even when I got it, they were all seized up. It wouldn't turn. I just greased them a lot and just kind of kept working it, and it all freed up pretty good. And you really should have new ones here sometime, but they're still going, and I keep them greased heavy, and I keep an eye on them. Make sure nothing bad's starting to happen with them. I have had the gearbox apart and replaced the seals. Apparently I didn't do a good enough job because that one's starting to leak again. But it's hard to get that seal on without damage, because you got to slide, that seal has to slide all the way on from this end right here, and you have to take the pulley off, pull the bearing off, and do it that way, and you got to slide the seal down the whole length of the shaft. So it's kind of hard that you kind of got to polish the whole shaft up nice and clean and smooth, and that's hard to do on, you know, that big and long of a shaft. I mean, if you had a wave, you could put a wave in it, polish it right up good nice, but I don't have that. So and maybe it might be part of it why I started leaking again, because I did the seals in, I think, early last summer. Summer before, maybe. Summer before, I guess. But it does work. I haven't put it to use. I didn't come with the bracket here that mounts up to the front. I don't know exactly where it's supposed to bolt on. I assume the hood bolts, and that's what I used. I made sure I used all three. Make the best I could, and I kind of just built out a flat bar, put a little brace in there, and I just used the same flat bar to bolt the link, go down to the gearbox. I just tried to set it up so that the keep the U-joint angles pretty good, not too steep. And try to keep the angle on this one and that one the same. I believe that's how you're supposed to be. Same as like a drive shaft in a vehicle, I believe. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. Don't quote me on anything. But yeah, I'll take her down below and put her through a little bit of grass, I guess. I mowed a bunch last night, so there's not a whole lot down there now, but I'll find a little bit of something. Well, here we are down below my yard. Let's take a pass with it. Well, it doesn't do too bad a job for what it is. Depends on kind of grass you're in. I mowed down here a lot actually last night, and right here, oh, it might have been 6 inches maybe long, maybe. And it doesn't do really a terrible job. Honestly, it doesn't do much worse of a job than the belly mower for that does. Because it doesn't mow great. I mean, blades were probably a little wore out too, but it really doesn't do much worse of a job than the belly mower does. depends on the consistency of the grass. Getting over here where I made that last pass, it doesn't mow quite as well, but a lot of it's the grass here. This is kind of a wet area. It's the spring that comes out here, and this area here stays kind of wet almost year round. It's not bad right now. We have had some drier weather, but normally I won't go any farther into this without putting the chains on that, because I will get stuck in here quite easily. I've done it multiple times, especially up in that corner. There's a lot of, once you start spinning down, it turns into black mud. And that's why I only mow this spot here, a couple times a year, right into here. But this spot where it's dry, and this is a lot more, normal grass, this isn't too bad, and it doesn't do a terrible job. It's good enough for here. I would like to get the belly mower back on that, but it's kind of a pain because I use it for doing so much different stuff. It's putting the belly mower on and taking it back off. I find it's a little easier just to mount up the Mott Mower. It's a little easier to put on and unhook and stuff. So a lot of times I've been just mowing. This year I'm probably just going to mow mainly with the Mott Mower, I would think, but I'm not sure yet. I've got to fix the belly mower. The gearbox seal's leaking, so maybe we'll fix it up and put it on for 3/4 of the summer. But at least with the belly mower on, I can leave it on when I'm using my firewood trailer. But anyway, I guess that's about it. Thank you.